Hello, Oilers fans. Welcome to the day after discussion of the Oilers' 6-1 loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets, but also their 3-2 overtime win against the Detroit Red Wings. Because the team has played a back-to-back in recent days, I am, kind of combining this day after episode, talking points in both games. However, of course, the biggest talking point right now is Connor McDavid. Is he okay? And what would the long-term injury impact be on this roster? Normally, I would be, more optimistic. Normally, I would be like, you know what? It's just one player. The team has the depth. They can get the job done. They can hold down the fort until he gets back, no matter when that is, whether it's in a week from now or maybe in a month from now. But after their showing against Columbus last night, the team folded. They kind of gave up. A bit more concerned now. So, if you end up enjoying this day after discussion, make sure you hit that like button. If you really like it, make sure to subscribe. We are very, very close to 4,000 subscribers. So if you know an Oilers fan in your life who may enjoy my content, or any hockey fan that you think might enjoy my content. Yes, I don't scream and shout, and I'm not as entertaining as possibly a Steve Dangle. However, I do try and bring a little bit more of a clear view, a clear picture of my talking points, and I do try and engage with everyone in the comments. I engage with everyone on social media. And friendly reminder, I am on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Podcasts. So if you prefer to listen to this type of content, it is available in audio form at the same time that it goes up on YouTube now. So that's something I'm excited about. And one more thing, I apologize for all the ads here. I am part of the Game Over Network. So if you want to watch Game Over Edmonton, where they go live after every single Oilers game, and sometimes I get to be a host of that, head over to the Game Over Edmonton YouTube channel. They are part of the Game Over Network. They also have daily content. They have Hyperdrive Hockey. They do Game On with Graham. He's a great host over there. So happy to be part of that crew, and let's kind of get going here. Let's talk about the Oilers' recent two games. They went 1-1 in those two games. The loss last night was obviously the big talking point, not only because they got absolutely blown out by the Blue Jackets, who, by the way, are a terrific team. I don't want to discredit the Columbus Blue Jackets. I talked at length in my pregame report yesterday how good this team was, what the Oilers needed to look out for, and, kind of keys to victory against the Blue Jackets. And the Oilers failed in pretty much everything that I had mentioned. So that is on the team. That is not on, Columbus overperforming. Columbus has shown all season that they can score in bunches. They are fast. They are speedy. They are young. And they're playing with a lot of heart this season. Obviously, we all know the tragedy that unfolded with the Blue Jackets, their organization, with Matthew and Johnny Gaudreau. And I could not be happier to see that team finding early season success. I would absolutely love it if they could sustain it. And I'd love to see that team in the playoffs once again. But let's get into our talking points today. Our main topics of discussion. Connor McDavid, of course, is the big one. He is number one. We will discuss things at length about him and what his injury means to this team. We're going to discuss the Oilers' depth. Where is it? What is the Oilers' depth? There was a lot of talk coming into the season that the Oilers may have the best forward group in the entire NHL. We knew that bottom six might be a little bit shaky, but the top six should be, more than able to make up for it. However, we have yet to see a lot of the top six get going here, so we're going to talk about that. Jekyll and Hyde. The Edmonton Oilers are a very Jekyll and Hyde team. One night, they look like Stanley Cup contenders like they did against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then another night, like last night against Columbus, they look disinterested. They look like a lottery team. They look like they don't even want to be there. And obviously, when you lose your franchise player to injury, that can affect team morale on the ice. However, I do want to discuss something about that because that doesn't always happen, and it shouldn't happen. Not at this, level of competition. I'm going to talk about giving up. Last night, the Oilers gave up, and I'm going to talk about, that being a major problem for me. It was discouraging to see that last night from the Edmonton Oilers. And then we're going to talk about opportunity. Right now, with McDavid's injury, there is a huge opportunity for a lot of players to step up and for this team to show everyone what they are truly made of, to show that they are not a one-man show. And if they're able to do that over the next several weeks or however long Connor McDavid is out with the injury, this could be huge. This is a big opportunity, and we'll see what the team can do with it. Then we're going to talk about Bowman and Jackson, their impact on this roster. And so far, how maybe it hasn't turned out the way they thought they would. And I have a few things I want to talk about both Bowman and Jackson, and things that I am not exactly happy with, and things that we are starting to see rear their ugly head almost a month into the season now. Then I'm going to discuss up next for the Oilers, who they play next, my own content that I'll be producing over the next week or so. And that's pretty much it there. And then my closing thoughts. As always, with this type of content, the day after discussion, if you're watching on YouTube, all of the talking points are time-stamped. And if you're listening on a audio podcast website or app, I will also leave the timestamps in the description of those audios as well, so that you can skip around if there's any talking points that you want to get to, that you want to skip to, that you want to, go back on. I'll make it very easy for everyone to find the talking point that they want to listen to right away. And we're, my apologies, my voice. We're already losing my voice. I'm only 6 minutes into this video. And by being 6 minutes into this video, let's finally talk about the main topic, Connor McDavid. The Oilers, at the bottom of the screen here, if you're watching on YouTube, by the way, I always post what the scores were and what their expected goals for and Corsi for percentage were in the games. Combined those last night. The expected goals for was putrid. Corsi for was good, but again, that's not saying much when the expected goals for, in my opinion, is much more important. But anyways, Connor McDavid. Last night, Connor McDavid, in his opening shift, he gets tripped up at the blue line, and he slides into the boards. He does a little spin. He gets up. Doesn't look too shaken, right? Connor McDavid, he gets up. Doesn't look too bad. And then he starts to skate, and then all of a sudden, you can see him kind of wince. And he looks over at the bench, and he calls for a change right away. It's like he knew something was wrong, but I do find it interesting that he went down, got up. Nothing looked out of the ordinary until he tried to push off with that left leg. Bob Stauffer on 630 Ched last night speculated on a high ankle sprain. And I don't like to speculate on injuries to players because we just don't know. And until official news comes out on what the situation might be, I don't want to sit here and speculate because I don't want fans to panic. I don't want fans to take something that I say as fact and then start spreading it on social media. I am not responsible for the rumor mill. I'm just discussing what Bob Stauffer said last night on 630 Ched. He mentioned possible high ankle sprain. In my opinion, I don't know if it would be the ankle because he didn't seem in discomfort until he tried to push off with that left leg, which makes me think it could be a knee issue. Either way, it is something that affects his skating. That is Connor McDavid's strongest aspect of his game, is how fast he is, how quick he is on his feet. So depending what the injury is, if it is a leg, ankle, knee injury, whatever the case may be, this could affect him, even if he is able to come back fairly quickly. Let's say he only misses a couple games, he gets evaluated, and they tell him, you know what, just rest for a week, and then you can get back out there. He's still going to be affected by this. This is, one of those situations where in the NHL, a lot of players play through things throughout the season. Last year, he clearly was playing through something for a bulk portion of the year. I still think he was playing through something during the playoffs. And right now, I don't know what the situation is with Connor McDavid, but the fact is, if it is a leg, an ankle, a knee, whatever the situation is, something that can affect his speed bursts, his skating, his pivots, his ability to get around opponents, his ability to, make defenders look like pylons. That's not a good sign for the Oilers. What is a good sign, though, is Connor McDavid is one of the smartest, if not the smartest player in the league. If his skating is affected in any way where he's not 100% capable for, to hit max speed and blow by defenders, he is an incredible passer, and his smartness, his IQ, on-ice IQ, will carry him. It will help carry his play. It'll help carry the team, and hopefully for Connor McDavid, hopefully this is just nothing serious, right? We don't want this to be serious. However, in saying that, I also want him to get the rest that he will need, and no matter how long he is out, however long it takes, as long as the Oilers can hold down the fort, maybe play 500 hockey, depending on the length of the injury here and his time frame. That would be best case scenario, in my opinion. So for Connor McDavid, let's hope he rests up. Let's hope he gets back to 100% very, very quickly. Because, the team last night, they showed that they were, maybe relying on him a little bit too much. And, when we talk about the depth on this team, and I'm going to transition into the depth. The depth right now is atrocious. It is putrid. I'm going to bring up a graphic on the screen here. If you're not able to see it, I am still going to discuss it. Derek Ryan has 0 points in 10 games. Mattias Ekholm has 0 goals in 10 games. Connor Brown has 1 goal in 10 games. Zach Hyman has 0 goals in 10 games. Vasily Podkolzin, 1 point in 10 games. Adam Henrique, 1 point in 10 games. Corey Perry has 2 points in 10 games. He got an assist on that 6-1 goal last night. Good for him. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 1 goal in 10 games. This is Edmonton's 8 forwards out of 12, and they have combined for 6 points in 10 games between the 8 of them. That is horrifying. For a team that had a lot of talk about their depth going into the season, a lot of people, a lot of pundits said that this is a team that, they're going to score a whole bunch of goals, that this is a team to watch out for. All 4 lines can contribute. Only one line has contributed, and they've contributed very inconsistently. And I would say that's any line that McDavid has been on, honestly. Zach Hyman with 0 goals this year. Victor Arvidsson has 0 goals. I didn't even include Arvidsson. That's 9 out of the 12 forwards who have done pretty much nothing. Now, Arvidsson does have a few points. He got 3 assists against Pittsburgh. But other than that, he has 0 goals. I should have included him in there. So you have 9 forwards who have combined for, 2 goals? That's horrifying. Horrifying. The other goals have come from Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. That's it. And Jeff Skinner has a couple goals too. Jeff Skinner has slowed down a lot after that good start to the year. The depth on this team is not there. It's not there. It's not good enough. And with a lot of these players, a lot of their age is starting to show. Not that they are playing poorly. It's not like I'm sitting there going, wow, that looks like Ryan Smith at the end of his career, because we all know how Ryan Smith played towards the end of his career. It was really hard to watch those last 2 seasons in Edmonton when the speed went away, when the hands went away, when his ability to get up in the forecheck went away. It was brutal. And I don't get that sense with guys like Janmark or Adam Henrique or Zach Hyman. Corey Perry maybe, but Corey Perry still does things every night that make me go, wow, Corey Perry's having a really good game right now. But Nugent Hopkins, too, I'm not worried about these guys just suddenly collapsing off a cliff. Historically, they've shown that they can produce and that they eventually will produce. These players, they're not going to shoot at 0 to 4% all season. That's not how this works. A lot of these guys, their career shooting percentages are 10% and higher. Zach Hyman's career shooting percentage is 13%. So the fact he's at 0 goals right now, we know that's eventually going to correct itself. But if it doesn't correct itself quickly and soon, then it doesn't matter when it corrects itself. The team will be completely out of the playoff race by American Thanksgiving, and they're not going to be able to get back in it. This team is not young enough. They are not fast enough, and they don't have the stamina to sustain and try and find a way to get themselves out of a deep hole. The fact that they are 1 game below 500 right now, I actually think is kind of a miracle, considering the fact that literally nobody in that forward group has been able to find any kind of success other than maybe Draisaitl when it comes to goal scoring and Connor McDavid when it comes to helping produce those goals. It's incredibly, incredibly concerning if you're an Oilers fan. This is something that I am shocked at. In my season preview video that I put out a few days before the season started, I talked about different players that I thought would regress. I talked about different players that, might not play like they did last year. Now, Connor Brown, I was like, you know what? It took him until March to get his first game last year. That's not going to happen this year. I feel like Connor Brown was a lock for 10 to 15 goals this season. He has 1 in 10. And he's not really doing a whole lot when he's out on the ice. Special teams have also been really bad too, by the way. I'm not going to totally touch on the special teams, but their power play is abysmal. Last night, they had 6 power play opportunities. They got 1 goal, and it was at the end of the game when you're down 6 goals, so it didn't even matter. But the 5 power play opportunities before that were horrifying. That top unit has not looked comfortable at all. But there's no creativity on the power play either. That second unit deserves a bit more power play time, in my opinion. They don't really get the power play time. Somehow Mattias Ekholm has 2 power play goals, though, so that's really funny to me. But the depth right now on this team, nowhere near good enough, and it's incredibly concerning. And if this trend continues, and I know it won't, logically, I like analytics. I like numbers. I understand that logically, it won't make sense for this to continue to last longer than it has. Something is going to give, the dam is going to break, the floodgates will eventually open for a lot of these players. However, when we talk about a guy like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he looks like he's really slowing down. For some reason, he's taken a complete step back this season. On that top line with McDavid and Hyman, he looks like the odd man out, and he's not doing the little things either. With Nugent Hopkins, we don't expect him to blow anyone out of the water when it comes to point production. We expect Nugent Hopkins to be that really good complementary winger for McDavid and Hyman. Let McDavid and Hyman produce the offense. Nugent Hopkins kind of stays back. He's the more responsible winger, good two-way player, and he can chip in on faceoffs if he has to. This season, we've seen none of that. On the power play, the puck dies on his stick. There was a couple power plays last night in that game against Columbus. There was one particular power play in the second period where Ryan Nugent Hopkins was down low in the corner with the puck. And he's hit off of the puck, and he didn't get it back. He goes in, he tries to use his body, but he just bounces off of another Columbus Blue Jacket, and then they shove him away from the puck again, and then they clear it. And then they come back into the zone, the puck gets back to Nugent Hopkins, and once again, they single him out, and they hit him off the puck, and it's just too easy. Ryan Nugent Hopkins is easy to play against right now. He's never been a overly physical player. He's never been someone where you expect him to be able to grind down low in those corners. However, when you're on the top power play unit and your whole role is to maintain puck possession, feed it to either McDavid or Draisaitl or back to the point, every time the puck hits Ryan Nugent Hopkins' stick on the power play of the season, the play dies. The play dies. And 5-on-5 too. I'm going to say 5-on-5 as well. Ryan Nugent Hopkins has been putrid. His advanced metrics have been awful, and he has one goal this season, and I would say that's expected. That's an expected, situation. Zach Hyman, he has 0 goals. However, his game still looks good. He's still producing chances at a similar rate that he did last year. They're just not going in for him this year. The Oilers need their depth to pick it up, and they need every single forward in that forward group to step their game up right now. If McDavid's going to be out for even one game, everyone has to show up, and everyone has to play as a unit. They have to play cohesive. They have to play like they're a team. This team just looks discombobulated right now, and that is playing into the depth struggles. So, speaking of this team playing strangely and not looking like a team, we're going to talk about Jekyll and Hyde. The Jekyll and Hyde situation, of course, one night they look amazing. The other night, it's evil, it's ugly, it's brutal, it's no fun to watch. And all season long for the Edmonton Oilers, it's been that way. Just when you think the team is starting to turn this season around, like the game against Pittsburgh, they follow it up with a performance against Detroit where they get the win and you're happy they won, but there were concerning signs. You're like, I didn't like the effort. Draisaitl's birthday, he got 2 goals and an assist. That's great. But then against Columbus last night, and again, I'm not taking credit away from the Columbus Blue Jackets. They deserve that win. Full disclosure. Columbus deserved the win 100%. But the Oilers are better than that. The Oilers could have pushed back a little bit. This team is better than what they've shown. But it started at the first game of the season. They got absolutely torched by the Winnipeg Jets, 6-0. And then they lose 5-2 to the Chicago Blackhawks, where they played better than that game against Winnipeg, but it was still like, maybe not amazing. And then they lose 4-1 to the Calgary Flames, and you're 0-3, and it's like, oh boy, what's going on here? Like, what is happening? That game against Calgary, I thought was going great until they gave up the 2-1 goal in the third, and it's like the team just gave up. They were like, oh, I guess we don't want to play anymore. The game's over now. We're down by a goal. Then they come back against Philly. They get a fighting major. They step up for each other. They stand up. They look like a team. They win 4-3 in overtime. Big comeback. They had to tie it late in the third. They win in overtime. Awesome. Cool. Maybe this is the turnaround. They go into Nashville, and they pretty much dominate the Predators from beginning to end. They have a couple little stretches where they don't look amazing. It's like, okay, no, this team really is turning it around. This is fantastic. 2-game win streak. They just need to win one more game. Let's get back to 500. Oh, they play Dallas. Oh, boy. First period, they played great. Second period, not too bad. And then they give up a back-breaking goal at the end of the second, and they completely give up in the third. They lose 4-1 to Dallas. Well, that's not good. You don't like to see that kind of effort. Then you play Carolina. You have a 2-0 lead heading to the third. You're looking good. You're feeling good. The Carolina Hurricanes are a team that is they are a possession monster. They are fast. They are incredibly difficult to play against. You have a 2-goal lead heading to the third. We're feeling pretty good. Maybe it's been not the best game from everyone, but they've been able to hold things down. Oh, Carolina scores 2 in the third off of defensive miscues. Oh, you lose in overtime. Damn, that sucks. But then you play Pittsburgh, and you look like a cup contender, and you outshoot them 50-27. You win 4-0. Stuart Skinner, he's back on his game. Let's go, boys. We are back. You play Detroit. You win. Okay. Yeah, well, that was an okay win. Not great. And then you lose 6-1 to Columbus, and we're right back to the Winnipeg game where they lost 6-0. Like, that's how I feel. Like, the highs and lows right now are too high, and they are too low for October hockey. This is a team like, you shouldn't have highs and lows like this in October. Like, where is the consistency here? You don't know what team you're going to get on any given night with the Edmonton Oilers. It makes watching them incredibly frustrating. It makes watching them right now irritating. Not just frustrating, but irritating. What other adjectives you can think of for the Oilers right now, I would agree with. And the goaltending has been inconsistent. The defensive structure has been inconsistent. The forward attack structure has been inconsistent. Special teams have been non-existent. That's one thing that actually hasn't even showed up in any capacity as special teams. So this is a Jekyll and Hyde team. They need to find a way to find consistency, or this season is going to go downhill real darn quick, and it's going to be a long winter in oil country if they don't step up. Now, let's talk about giving up. Now, there's a lot of fans. There's a lot of fans that are out there that at the first sign of adversity, they're like, oh, it's over. Season's done. And I get caught up in that sometimes. I put out a tweet last night after Connor McDavid went down with injury, and I said, if this is a long-term injury, the Oilers' season is done. I said season is done if this is any kind of long-term injury to Connor McDavid. And I had a lot of people being like, you're not a real fan. Real fans don't give up. If one player gets hurt and that causes the whole team to miss the playoffs, well, then this team, wasn't built. They're like, they don't have that dog in them. I'm like, okay, fair. Did I overreact? Maybe. But this team has shown that they have relied on Connor McDavid a little bit too much. And this is a team where Connor McDavid, other than his rookie year, hasn't been injured for long stretches of time during the regular season. So it's tough to understand and know what this team is when he's not in the lineup. That rookie year, he broke his clavicle and he missed an extended portion of the year, but the team was still in that retool. So we weren't expecting a lot of wins for them during his rookie season. This is a situation now that this is unheard of for fans. We're not sure what this team is without Connor McDavid in the lineup, because we're so used to him being in the lineup and carrying the workload, carrying the scoring, and driving Edmonton's offense. And a lot of us, at least in the analytics community, have known for a long time how much him and Draisaitl have masked a lot of the issues on this team, especially when it comes to depth, that bottom six, the goal share for the bottom six compared to the top six, the goal share when McDavid is on the ice versus off the ice. We've known for a long time that this team without McDavid on the ice generally struggles. Generally. Not always. But this offseason, they lost some crucial depth pieces. They lost some crucial speed. They lost some crucial youth in that lineup. And so far this year, when McDavid and Draisaitl are not on the ice, the team is absolutely, like, they are bleeding goals. They are bleeding goals against right now. And if this goes on, for however long McDavid is out, does the team give up? Do the fans give up? Obviously, I don't give up, right? When I put out a tweet like I did last night where I said, oh, the season is done, that's an emotional reaction. There's a difference between an emotional reaction and consistently telling people what is or is not going to happen, consistently being either negative or consistently being too positive. I find I'm fairly grounded when it comes to this kind of stuff. I find I don't get too high or too low. During games when I'm watching them, when I'm not live streaming, I do get pretty high during certain moments, and I do get pretty low. My reaction last night, and I think a lot of fans' reactions last night with regards to the season is done if this is long-term, is because we understand that when McDavid is not on the ice, the team generally does not control play. They generally don't control the scoring chances, and that is a reflection of the team that has been built around McDavid through his time here. He has deserved better. He's deserved more depth. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, we're not giving up. Nobody here gives up. Nobody on this channel gives up. Nobody in the comment section gives up. Nobody in the Austin hockey community gives up. And I don't expect that to start today. We'll see what the injury ends up being, but I just wanted to address that because obviously I'm not giving up. And if I gave that impression last night on Twitter, just know that when I post on Twitter during games, they are more emotional reactions to things. They aren't a full reflection of my analysis of the team or anything like that. But in saying that, since we're not giving up, let's see what the team has. Let's see what the team has in the tank. This is an opportunity. This is a huge opportunity for a lot of players on this roster to show everyone and prove to everyone that this is not just the Connor McDavid show. This is an opportunity for Leon Draisaitl to show that he is worth being paid the highest amount of money in the NHL next season with that extension he signed. This is an opportunity for Evan Bouchard to prove that he's worth the $10 or $11 million or whatever it is he's going to ask for on his next contract. This is an opportunity for Stuart Skinner to prove that he is a number one starting elite goaltender in the NHL who can get the job done. This is an opportunity for Zach Hyman to show that that 50-goal season was not a one-off and he can indeed score and put the puck in the net. This is an opportunity for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to show that just because he's been the longest-serving Oiler doesn't mean he still doesn't have a little bit of gas left in that tank, and he can help drive some offense. Some Nuge offensive, bring that Nuge youth back. This is an opportunity for Vasily Podkolzin, a new start on a new team. He was run out of Vancouver, couldn't find consistency or the trust in the coaching staff. This is an opportunity for Podkolzin to show that he belongs in the NHL and that his rookie year was not a fluke. This is an opportunity for Connor Brown to prove that last year's regular season was a one-off. He can score 20 goals. He can put the puck in the net. He can drive offense. This is an opportunity for Adam Henrique to prove that he's still capable of putting the puck in the net. 20-goal scorer, consistent 50-point getter. This is an opportunity for a lot of players on this team right now to show what they're made of, to show what they can do when things get rough. When things are not going your way, when you lose the franchise cornerstone, you lose your best friend in the lineup, you lose someone that the team knows is incredibly important to that lineup. This is a massive, massive opportunity for a lot of players on this team, and I am incredibly curious to see how they approach things. I'm curious to see how they are able to handle this adversity, because if they play like they did last night in the third period against Columbus, there's going to be big problems. And not just the third period, that entire game against Columbus. It's like McDavid went down with injury and the whole team just collectively threw their arms in the air and went, well, that sucks. Nothing we can do. There's a lot you can do. And let's prove it. Prove it not only to the fans, but prove it to yourselves as players. Prove it to everyone in oil country. Prove it to the coaching staff. There is a great opportunity here, and I want to embrace that opportunity. And I hope the players right now, everyone in that locker room, I hope that they are absolutely embracing this opportunity that is in front of them, or they'll spitter out of control and finish second last in the NHL, and they'll be a lottery team, and who knows? Who knows what happens, right? Who absolutely knows what could go on? If it makes Oilers fans feel better, when Sidney Crosby was injured for extended periods in the late 2000s, early 2010s, Evgeny Malkin, he stepped up, really led that team. I forget which Sedin brother went down with injury the one year in Vancouver. The other Sedin brother led the league in scoring, won the Hart Trophy. This is a real opportunity for Leon Draisaitl to show that he can be the guy, and he is an elite franchise cornerstone as well. And that, he shouldn't have to be in the shadow of Connor McDavid. He can create his own shadows, and he can come out of the shadows and be really scary. And just when you least expect it, all of a sudden, Draisaitl is scoring 3 goals a game and just being an absolute monster in the league. Let's see what the team does here with this opportunity. We're going to segue now into Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson. I kind of touched on it in my intro, which was a long intro, by the way. I do apologize. I kind of touched on it in the intro with the players that the Oilers lost this offseason and the issues that are showing up on the team right now. A lot of it is speed, youth, and depth. Now, nobody could predict the start that Philip Broberg got in St. Louis. And his start, despite being very positive when it comes to point production, Philip Broberg's advanced analytics are not good in St. Louis. In fact, I would argue they are incredibly poor. He's riding an incredibly high PDO. He will regress, and there's some regression starting to come now for him. However, defensively on this team, there are some issues here. They keep playing Kulak up with Nurse. They are playing guys in their offhand to try and find a partner for Darnell Nurse. They're not consistently playing Emberson with Kulak or Emberson with Nurse. Dermott was signed on a PTO. He made the team out of camp. They signed him to a contract, and now he's a healthy scratch every night as a left shot D-man. Philip Broberg would look pretty damn good in this lineup in terms of the skill set that he brings. Philip Broberg's skill set is his hands and his skating. The Oilers don't have enough mobile defensemen. They don't have enough players on that blue man group. They don't have enough players on that blue line that can skate the way Broberg skates. And we saw Philip Broberg's strengths during the Stanley Cup final against Florida. I understand you can't give him $4 million that St. Louis offered him. That makes no sense at all. I don't know what he was asking from the Edmonton Oilers, but if it was in that $2 or $2.5 million range for a year, the team should have bit the bullet. I'm just going to full on say they should have bit the bullet and sign him to that. And Dylan Holloway, someone who I still think projects to be a 20-goal scorer, someone with a ton of tenacity, speed, he hits, he fights. This team is sorely missing that dynamic from their lineup. They don't have anyone that hits. They don't have anyone that is a wrecking ball out on the ice, other than maybe Vasily Podkolzin, but Podkolzin doesn't have the offensive skill set that Dylan Holloway has. Losing Dylan Holloway for the $2 or $2.2 million, whatever the contract was, I would have been able to swallow that one. When those offer sheets were handed out and signed by Holloway and Broberg, and then the Oilers traded Cody Ceci a few days later, I truly thought that they were for sure going to match Dylan Holloway. I thought the writing was on the wall for Philip Broberg just because of the multiple trade requests that he made in his time in Edmonton. Broberg, his entire tenure here, he was pushed down the depth chart. Team kept prioritizing trades and free agent defensemen who were left shot. It kept pushing Broberg down. When Broberg wasn't in the lineup, he was just in the press box. They weren't sending him to the AHL to get his top line minutes. And I understood his frustration, and I understood a new start was probably needed for that player. And that falls on Ken Holland and, the previous regime for not properly developing him. But for Bowman and Jackson, they had an opportunity here to maybe mend some of that. They had an opportunity to speak with Broberg's agent and be like, hey, we really, we're very happy with his role in the Stanley Cup final. And, well, I guess even before that, Western Conference Finals when Broberg stepped up against Dallas. And, tried to make amends. I mean, like, hey, this is the role that we foresee for Philip Broberg right now. If you give us another chance, new regime here, we're going to make sure things go right for this player. Obviously, things like that didn't happen. And I don't actually know what went on behind the scenes. Maybe they did. Maybe they had a great sit-down conversation with Broberg's agent, and maybe no matter what the offer was, he was never going to re-sign with Edmonton. That's also possible, right? But for Dylan Holloway, that's the player to me that Edmonton is missing the most right now. That is the player to me that Edmonton is truly missing the most. They don't have anyone in this lineup that throws the body. They don't have enough depth scoring right now. They don't have a lot of speed in their top nine. And Dylan Holloway fits perfectly. He fits perfectly. That is a puzzle piece that fits perfectly. He looked like he was really starting to break out last year in the playoffs, played next to Draisaitl. And I understand the logic of what Bowman and Jackson were doing. I understand signing Jeff Skinner. I understand Victor Arvidsson. On paper, those are good signings. Things have not worked out the way we wanted them to, but I'm putting Bowman and Jackson under the microscope right now because if this season continues to go poorly, if they are not able to get back on track, if they are not able to find themselves back into a playoff spot very soon, they are under the microscope for me, especially Stan Bowman. I am already incredibly outraged at that hiring to begin with. They had a few opportunities to improve this team. They decided to prioritize loyalty to the veteran players who got them to a Stanley Cup final. But a lot of teams make that mistake. And when you're already an old team and you decide to get older instead of younger and faster in a league that continuously gets younger and faster, this is a situation where I look at this Oilers roster and it's too early to say the word, but retool. Retool is on the table here. And I don't trust Stan Bowman to be able to retool this team. They are under the microscope. And those are my thoughts on those two right now. And Jackson oversaw it too. So despite how much excitement there was after free agent frenzy, we thought Jeff Jackson was cooking. Hindsight is 2020. Let's see how the team responds. Let's see if they're able to start picking up some wins. And let's see if a lot of the pieces that they prioritize, a lot of those veterans that they showed loyalty to, are able to find their game. And Chris Knobloch will eventually be under the microscope if things continue to go down as well. But we'll see what happens. Up next for the Oilers, and up next for me in terms of content. So the Oilers, they play Halloween night against the Nashville Predators. They are in Nashville. That game is on Sportsnet West at 6 p.m. Mountain. I will be doing a live stream commentary during that game. Very excited about the live stream commentary. I'm debating if I want to dress up for Halloween and have a lot of fun on the live stream with everyone. I'm thinking I will, but we will have to see. I'm not sure. I have a couple costumes I'm thinking of. I'm not actually going to do the Joker because the amount of memes that would come out, if Nashville wins 6 or 7-0, and then the sad clown memes that would come out from that, I don't know. I don't think I can handle that. I don't think I could handle the sad clown memes unless I really want to embrace it. But the fact I would be in my Oilers jersey but wearing clown makeup, that is something that I am incredibly concerned that people would just spread all over social media anytime the Oilers are struggling, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. So we'll see if I end up dressing up as the Joker or not. If not, I have a couple other costume ideas. And then they play the Calgary Flames, round 2 of the Battle of Alberta on Sunday, November 3rd. That is another game that I will be able to live stream. So I will be doing a live stream commentary on that one. And as always, during the season, I always have a pregame report up before every single game. And I always have a postgame reaction up after every single game. And of course, the day after discussions always come one day after, unless the team plays a back-to-back, in which case I will combine both games the day after the second game, if that makes sense. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank everyone for watching, for listening at home. Wherever you get your content, it truly means the world to me. I hope you're all doing well. I hope we all have a wonderful week here. There's some good news in that the Oilers don't play a whole lot of games over the next week or so. So if McDavid has to miss a little bit of time, at least he's not going to miss too many games, hopefully. Once we know more about McDavid's situation, I will have a news video up. Until then, we'll see you in the pregame report before the game on Thursday. And yeah, always tell someone that you love them, Oil Country. Fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. Like today's video. Hit subscribe. Tell all your friends. Let's get us to 4,000 subscribers. We'll see you soon, Oil Country. Take care.